Hello again, everybody. Welcome to the show. And today we have a very, very special guest. We got our man Mike Seidl with us, or as you know him on Facebook, Jew Boy Mason Mike. How's it going, bro?
Or one of the other various profiles. It's good. It's good, brother. Very good. It's good to be here, man.
All right.
Yeah,
So
I've been looking forward to doing a live for a long time. So
I'm
this
happy
is
to hear this.
perfect. So since I can't do anything else right now, so at least yeah. I wanted to start with maybe a little bit of some Bible buffoonery.
Yeah, let's get into the Bible buffoonery. Let's get into that shit. Let's go. That's why. Let's get into it.
Yes. Okay. Well, this is a very little known fact about the most popular Bible in the world. It's called the NIV, the New International Version.
Really?
And it was actually, there's been over 500 million copies sold, actually. And
wow,
a lot more than that distributed. And it's unbelievable. You wouldn't believe it. And the guy who actually created this version, this biblical text, goes by the name of Rupert Murdoch. You might be saying, this sounds familiar, man. This guy is like a business guy. He was like a media mogul, the owner of Fox News, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, this is the creator of the most popular Bible version in the world. Not the King James, but the NIV. So this is the way the story goes. In Des Plaines, Illinois, in 1969, Des Plaines, Illinois.
Like 10 minutes from where either of us, like a half hour from other years.
Right in the vicinity, yeah.
Retarded.
Definitely. He basically put together this large group of Christian scholars. They call them. That's what they're calling themselves. And they were of all different alternative lifestyles. You know, they were that type of persuasion. And so basically they got together and decided how many verses they would remove and how they would alter, certain verses. Because in order to get a Bible published, it has to be altered to a certain extent or they won't grant you a copyright. So, they took various words out and they took Lucifer out certain parts. Yeah, it's just very interesting fact, because this is the version they hand out in prisons and it's just everywhere. And it's known as like the easiest version to understand. So basically it's just an opportunity for people to just alter the New Agers, maybe the United Nations themselves or the Pope might have signed off on it. Maybe he shook Rupert's hand and be like, you've done a great thing. We love you, my son, kiss the ring or some shit. It's a crazy world, man. Yeah, dude.
So I still can't believe that story. That it's true that like some guy started in Des Plaines, Illinois, and then Rupert Murdoch created a Bible in Des Plaines, Illinois, and it just became more popular.
The most famous Bible in the world, and everybody loves it. And they're like, nah, I don't want that King James because I can't understand the these and the thous. King James was a pedophile, and I don't think I want that one. I want the one that's based on like a kindergarten level of English, that was made by basically a bunch of alternative lifestyle people who Rupert Murdoch hired, very way out there Christian scholars. And this is what the world prefers. It's been mass produced. They didn't really have a choice. They were kind of convinced of it, that it was the best version. So, and then another little side note is the Gideonites are the ones that actually it's a group of guys. It's a club. They're the ones that actually put the Bibles in the drawers at the hotels and the motels. When you find that Bible there, they're the ones who actually personally place it there. Now, those aren't NIVs. Those are New King James. That's the ones they use. The NKJV. That's another little known fact.
What's the difference in the King James version and the New King James version?
They just altered. There's not really much of a difference. They took out the these and the thous, and I think
So
that it's more modernized. But a lot of it stayed the same. That's the one that was least fucked with. If you go from like the King James, then the new King James, and then they just massacred the fuck out of it and just fucking throw in whatever the fuck you want, do anything.
Yeah, that is how they massacre it.
Absolutely.
By doing shit like that.
Eventually they're gonna fuck some shit up. Another thing that's been on my mind is Augmentation Nation. Augmentation Nation. They call it the Great Reset or the Great Awakening, but really, like, it's the spirit of Joe Biden and the Alzheimer's, the augmentation of the brain. Is one way of looking at it, but it is the one thing I did look into here was just the idea of augmentation of the brain function is actually what they call it, the augmentation of brain function. It's an umbrella term for the approaches from different disciplines aimed at the improvement of brain performance.
Wow.
In both healthy people and patients suffering from neurological disabilities. Functions of the brain that scientists hope to augment belong to sensory, motor, and cognitive domains. Brain enhancements could be achieved pharmacologically or using neurostimulation. Functional improvements can be also achieved with brain training techniques that employ modern technologies like computer games, virtual reality. Yeah.
So basically, Elon Musk's and Bill Gates' real life and with this Neuralink stuff.
Yeah, they'll use some of the heroes of society to employ the latest technologies and whatnot. A lot of people really admire Bill Gates. I don't know if it still is this way, but I remember up until before this whole big hoopla happened, everybody, you could fucking get punched in the face if you said anything about Bill Gates. They're fucking sucking this fucking guy's dick, fucking left and right. They love Bill Gates. You kidding me? And now they probably still do.
Yeah.
For all I know, dude.
I mean, until Windows 7, the Gates worship was a bit much, but yeah.
And then,
Elon
Musk.
That was probably the only time we criticized him without any that was probably the only time we could criticize him without any sort of like issues. But before like all this, the Gates worship was a lot.
Oh, yeah. Probably the average Joe still fucking, I don't know. So yeah, I mean, so now it goes into the computer games, virtual reality. Brain performance can be augmented using brain-machine interfaces, BMIs, the pathways that could connect neuronal circuits to external assistive devices such as limb prosthesis, exoskeletons. Yeah, so it's like RoboCop, right? Just make cyborgs, like cyborgs or something. Crazy shit.
That is.
No doubt, man.
That's exactly like RoboCop. Because I remember in the movie RoboCop, it was basically a dead police officer who was brought to life.
Yeah.
And his entire family had been murdered by terrorists or something.
Yeah, it's like kind of like the Christ figure, getting martyred, then coming back to life, and he's like a half hybrid there, and basically becoming the policing, yourself. Right now, it's like martial law. It's kind of like Detroit was in the movie.
Yeah.
They called it, it's not the CCP like China is now. No. They called it OCP in the movie RoboCop. And it was Detroit was a city that was owned by China. And so when they evacuated these folks, they were taking them to FEMA camps in the movie. Jeez. So it's wild that, and basically, the police force was working for China at that point. Yeah. Well, you're just one of those things that's in the movie like people don't think of, but it's kind of a cool fact when you think about it because they're kind of telling you a story there in the movie. But
they are.
Yeah, for sure.
Diane says, "Hey, I made it, and wow, that's for what we're talking about today. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I kind of think movies are cool, man. They're like modern day parables or ways to think about problem solving, and just for ways for people to be artistic and creative. And like, you know, there's still good movies out there, good books. Still got, yeah.
Well, the one thing I've learned is like when it comes to a lot of these forms of entertainment, I don't look at them as entertainment anymore as much as like clues they're trying to tell people, you know.
Exactly.
Like what's the message they really want people to learn?
Oh, exactly. Yeah, it's just, it seems like people just tend to have the same general behavior unless there's something to spark some kind of change. And just seems like people tend to fall for the same. But all this, you know, like I'm an optimist, so through all this chaotic, you know, everything we see in society today, I kind of look at it on the bright side that this is actually going to cause people to see everything at once. And as opposed to, you know, a society evolving over time, they're kind of throwing it all on the table. So you get a chance to see. Now, it's dangerous, you know, because you get sucked into traps and following trends, and, you know, you might cut your balls off because you were under a spell. And that's like kind of goes into the Bible, back to this Bible buffoonery, you know, because they'll, you know, if it says to, let's see here. I wrote something down here. I didn't want to forget this. But it says here that it says in the Bible to be fruitful and multiply.
Right.
Is that what we're teaching today? No, we're teaching that this is a horrible existence. Fucking that, you know, it doesn't really matter. And, you know, just nobody should bring a child into this madness. And hey, all kinds of just alternative lifestyles. Nobody has to reproduce. Just chemically castrate everybody. And, you know, the Catholic priests led the way first and foremost because they don't have wives.
No.
And they don't reproduce. So the Vatican's always ahead of the game. You know, like, you know, call it the, you know, the cult of Mithra or whatever you want to call it. You know, whatever they are, but they don't fucking have wives. They don't fucking, that's probably why they're fucking touching kids and shit, but they're not supposed to reproduce, and they don't. And so, I mean, that's fucking sick as fuck, though, when you could just be like molesting the nuns and shit, though.
Yeah, it is.
You're fucking touching little kids and shit. That's a sickness.
It really is.
But, yeah. So there's that going on. I mean, how are you going to be fruitful and multiply if nobody just, I mean, so you're going to lose the war. We're going to lose the war every time. Because, like, you know, we don't care who the fuck's reproducing, you know, and like, if we're not, you know, what's it, 2.2 children are required per family to just enough to survive.
That's what it is.
That's just enough to balance it out.
Right.
So if you look at what countries are producing, China was already way out the door. We're talking about George Soros is saying they got to lead the way to the New World Order. What? To lead the way to the cemetery? The fucking China was already on the way out, you know. So
I think the average progenic rate is like 1.6 or 1.7 right now, when it's supposed to be at 2.2.
Right. It's just not even close. These countries are, I looked it up the other day, man. It's just not enough to, it's nowhere near two. There might be some that have unusually high, but for the vast majority, they're not, it's on the way down.
Yeah, it is.
And it already was before Shlomi, I'm doing it live. Get back. Be quiet. Before Shlomi, you know what I'm saying? The whole 9 yards that happened. So another part here, we're supposed to be leaving your mother and father's house to become one, right?
Right.
Nobody's doing that. The family's falling apart. Nobody's leaving their mother, leaving the home, and then finding a mate, and then becoming one, because they're just jumping into bed with each other, or whatever the fuck's going on. But you get the point. You don't got to go too far into it.
Well, I mean, it's gonna get to the point where the people have the most kids are either middle, or where the majority of the population is going to be either Indian people or Middle Eastern people. So I'm get to that great, but the others I don't know.
Yeah, we'll get to that point where we could easily see that scenario where we get to that point.
Our cars being...
That's not ours.
That was ours.
Champ. Shh.
That was
Sorry, you guys. Apologize for that. But yeah, I mean, we could easily see that scenario where
and Africa too,
where that whole mingling process takes place. Where what they're saying, that there's not going to be white people after a certain time. There won't be blonde people anymore. So they've been saying that shit for a long time, right?
I mean, according to this, India is not on the list, but the other countries are. A lot of countries in Africa and the Middle East are on this list.
Get back there. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. Now, what are some of the highest rates on that list? I can't see the fine print.
Niger's the highest, and Angola's the second highest.
What is it? What's the rate for?
Oh, they're at 6.91 per family.
Right. That's Niger.
Yeah, and then Angola's 5.9.
Right.
And then Mali is Department of Democratic Republic of Congo is 5.7. Mali's 5.63. And Chad is 5.57, and then Benin, I don't know where that is, 5.47, and Uganda is 5.45, and then South Sudan is 5.43, and Somalia is 5.41.
I mean, they're all African so far, though, right?
Burundi, yeah, I think almost all of them are African.
Yeah, yeah. And they're fucking, I don't know what's the rate they're dying over there, but yeah, it's they're over there, and depending on what so a country's policy is on immigration, yeah, you could see something like that. You never know how it might work out. But yeah, they talk about there won't be any more blondes and all that, and you never maybe it might come true one day.
Well, I mean, with those statistics, it looks like we look like we're on that pace. I mean, because even India's fertility rate like 2.
And these are religious countries, though.
Well, it's still 2.
You got to understand the religious concept of. What's the first country? Niger, right? So.
Niger's at 6.91.
It's an estimated 50%. This is why you see something like that. 50% of Nigerians are Muslim, 40% are Christian. So there's a real competition there in that country, but it's a very religious country, and that's why they're the highest. We forget some of the reasons that this multiplying takes place. Right? So while Muslims can be found in all parts of Nigeria, their strongest footholds are among the Hausa and the Yoruba. But then I think when they come here, it's like Nigerians get along. But over there, not so much, right? So yeah, religious, man. That's another product of the Vatican, right? So if they're fucking sending Muhammad, if fucking Muhammad's a Jesuit fucking spy that they sent over there to make up that fucking religion of Islam, then they control the whole fucking religion. and everything that it's doing. So, but I wanted to talk about this esoteric thing too.
Yeah, let's talk about the esoteric.
It's a fucking joke these days, man. It's a joke. Hey, quiet.
It's awesome.
It's nuts. It's nuts. Esoterics are basically a clown show today. People want to seem mysterious. They don't know how to explain something, so they call it esoteric. That's what it's become. That's what it's become. They just can't. They don't know it well enough to explain it simply for what it is. They can't articulate it for what it is. So they have to be, it's esoteric. No. They just don't know what the fuck it is. So they had to use that word to make it sound cool. What do you think about it, brother?
Well, I mean, sometimes that's the case, but other times, as we've seen on these pages and among many of our mutual friends, you could explain something 100 times properly and they still won't fucking get it. So I don't really know.
Yeah. No,
it could be either or. I mean, it could be out of laziness. You say, oh, it's esoteric, you're not supposed to get it. But then on the other hand, it's like, you could only tell someone if you put your hand on the stove, you're going to get burnt so many times that they get their hands burnt. And you're like, well, what the fuck?
Yeah. So, speaking of esotericism, or however you want to phrase it, esoterics, the hermaphrodite paradise that predates us, to where they were probably, everybody was a black man with tits that, maybe even they had like fucking horns like Baphomet or something too. But you never know, dude. But what really went down was it was a big tropical paradise where it was like a fucking you looked up, you had a fucking fish tank everywhere above you. There was water above you, fucking water below, and you lived like 1,000 years, and everybody was a hermaphrodite, and it was just a tropical paradise. The poles had shifted, Oh, they're talking about like the core of the earth has stopped, and just it's not gonna hit the bottom of the inner core and just sit there, because there's a lava fucking pool of molten lava around it that keeps it elevated and levitated in the center. And so when the poles shifted, or when we were under this tropical paradise, is what they teach, and this is what they're trying to cause people to believe we're returning to, the age of Aquarius. And you see that word queer inside of Aquarius. A queer eye us. Right? Hey, how about you? A queer eye us. Right?
That's I never noticed.
Yeah. And he's supposed to be a trickster, right? So hey, why don't you grab those scissors and snippety snip snip? Oops, I was joking, right?
Yeah.
Big trickster ushering in this great, glorious age we're all supposed to be excited about, right? And I don't know, man. I'm not buying it too much. It seems a little creepy to me. The age of Aquarius. So yeah, that's what esoterics is for me. It's like they're convincing everybody that this is something natural. We're under some natural cycle of Aquarius where, we're going to be, it's more than just male and female now. We're going to be introducing all of these various multiple sexual archetypes. And there's nothing wrong with that. And, and there might not be, maybe whatever. But it's just that they're acting like, this hasn't happened before the fall of Rome, or like certain societies didn't practice such things, like we didn't have sex operations in the past or something like that, or they want to make this seem like a new thing that, it's just, that's another cloak of it. The Catholics leading the way there. And, you see the little coins that the Vatican's produced. If you look at the coins, it's got a native. she's pregnant with the globe, with the continents on it, and there's another one with like a nursing child, and that's a very interesting selection for the Vatican coin. They're always adopting, and if the theory is true that the Jesuits this, the Schmesuits this, and the Schmesuits that, then they would be going far beyond the religion of Catholicism. Hey, that's ancient, and controlling all the atheism that's out there. The Lucis Trust, the United Nations.
Yep.
The philosophy that's being pumped into society itself. The atheists thinking that they're, fuck that King James. Fuck the church. Fuck the traditional government. Yeah, of course, fuck this and fuck that, because that's what the United Nations taught you to do.
Right.
So, and it's all just a game with everybody circle jerking each other off. And, oh, no, it's fucking these people's fault and those people. And it's all the same bullshit, man, because these are the things that work. It's like humans just want to have it all, and humans are just spoiled brats half the time, and they got to learn the hard fucking way. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, really the only way to become enlightened, to become a grown adult, is to go through severe pain and turmoil, a really hard lesson. I mean, how else would a man or a woman mature anyways? Right. If they didn't go through something ever, there was no chance for growth. There was no adversary. They remained a child. They remained a child under the wing of mommy. They never did grow because they didn't go through anything that caused stress, that caused trauma to create the change. A lot of isolation to be able to step away from society, to be able to create a metaphysical create an actual fucking change of consciousness. Okay.
There's a lot of adults that still still act like children. Even the ones that are on their own, they still behave like children. It's very weird.
Right. And it's, call it arrested development or whatever. They just want to be a kid forever. That part of it's fine. But, how about when people don't know they're being a clown? Right. The emotional immaturity is to the point to where it's like you don't realize, like you believe, like when people flip out on here or they get triggered, they're not just an act. They're really like tweaking out. They are. Well, I think that's where the line is between, is this just part of your routine or are you just a sensitive little individual who can't handle it? Right.
Yeah, there's way too many middle-aged people with the emotional acuity of teenagers. It's not healthy.
No, it's not a good example, like when it comes to not being able to go beyond it. Like I said, when it's genuine, like high school gossip level, and they're actually not playing the role, that's who they still are. I mean, that's where it becomes a problem, because there's always going to be that then low level. I said, my last funny thing, and I gotta go, dude. I'm sorry, man. Nah, I really apologize. I want to apologize to everybody for all.
You want to come on the show tomorrow?
Sure, that'd be great.
Yeah, because I don't know if you want to come on a show like this. You want to come on the news show with Scott and I, but
yeah, that'd be great. I think I can do that. Tomorrow's should be open.
Yeah, let me know. Yeah, we could definitely have some fun with this.
They call it high vibing.
No.
Vibrator. Yeah, Vibrator Nation. They'll just make that the new god. People just slap fucking dildos to their forehead. High vibe all the way into fucking 5D and just live happily ever after. That'll be the new god. Just put a fucking dick on the money. And
you can put one dildo on
Pompeii. You know what the Pompeians had on their doorsteps before
what
the
did they have?
Big fucking stone dildos on their doorsteps. That's why they got fucking wiped out, fucking Sodom and Gomorrah style.
Jesus Christ.
Anyways, brother, I gotta go, bro.
All right. Thank you for joining us. And on that
awesome though, dude. It's been a good one, brother.
This is fun. We put a dildo here and a dildo there. That's how you recreate Baphomet.
Both ears. Just have them springing around.
And on that note, this has been another edition of The Harsh Reality. We thank Mike Seidl for joining us. Hopefully he'll be back on tomorrow. So we'll have a lot of fun with this.
Have a good night, everybody.
All right. Have a great night, Mike. Take care, everyone. Have a great rest of your week. Tune in tomorrow when we have the Kralsek Artiality. We talk about the news and other things. Take care, everyone. Have a great rest of your week.